It's been quite a day, Josh, hasn't it? A lot's happened. I mean, when we went to bed, it looked like it was going to be a day, and then a day has materialised. I love the Fabinho stuff, being lashed in there. I love that Darwin Núñez has got a new number, and we're like, not now, Darwin. Honest to God, he's like a kid who needs attention. Other stuff, oh yeah, Taylor Swift resale at 11, that was unnecessary. It's been quite a day.
It has been a hell of a day, yeah. I mean, a lot's changed in the past 24 hours on the Liverpool landscape, and it like suddenly the big massive need for a number 6 in the squad and things like that. And Darwin getting a 9, I didn't see that coming until maybe the end of pre-season when he'd shown a bit more in the friendlies and that. But yeah, lots going on, Phil.
I don't think he's made the decision yet. From what I know, he hasn't made the decision yet. But I think the best way that I can articulate things is that it is a very, very real possibility of him going. And I would say he's probably closer to leaving Liverpool now than he's ever been. I'm not saying he's going to, but I'm just saying this developments have probably accelerated in a way that none of us could have foreseen. I just think it's a very remarkable situation, really, because I've written a piece this morning about if a Saudi Arabian club can buy Liverpool's captain while he's still an international class player, still got a number of years ahead of him in terms of playing in the top flight and playing in big games, they can get anybody.
The Fabinho one is the most out of left field thing that isn't actually that out of left field that there's been for a while, because it sort of makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
when
like a lot of people were saying towards the end of the season, I'd maybe taken off for Fabinho. Then the offer comes.
I remember walking out of Forest away last year, and I was like, I think he's done. He just looked all over the place, and he looked that way for quite a while. I mean, there was the famous sort of cameo at Brighton, wasn't there, where it was like,
come on,
what on earth is this? What, like, we were watching that together in the Red Lion, weren't we? And it was like, I think we'd have been better if any of the 15 people here had gone on the pitch.
And we've all had 4 pints.
Yeah, exactly. Just literally now. That was a low point. He recovered towards the end of the season, but it's still a massive question mark over it. And I think if you isolate him, and it's a case of here's 40 million quid for him, it makes a lot of sense, because there's question marks over him. And if there's question marks over someone and there's 40 million pound there, you've got to, at the very least, think about it. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you take the 40 million pounds and you're guaranteed to get better, because that's not how football works. But
you've got to spend the money.
You've got to spend the money, and you've got to spend it right. And there's this sort of overwhelming feeling from a lot of quarters that transfers always right. And one of the things Liverpool have done with transfers is that they've been mostly right because they've not sort of necessarily made gambles, but they've not had to commit when they didn't decide they wanted to, if that makes sense. They didn't sort of push a button and go, right, well, we'll roll the dice, we'll see what happens. And that's why we've got so much right, because everything's calculated. And if you weren't planning on selling a week ago, it's a bit of a problem in terms of what your next move is. Like, you're looking at Lavia now, for example. I don't think that can be the thing now, because it felt like he was
one
more,
of them goes, or
if both of them go, it feels like he was more developmental than anything. Like, you've got to be in the market for a Tchouaméni or a Caicedo or someone of that ilk who can go out and play 45 games for Liverpool and be a dominating midfielder. They can't be coming to learn.
Or do you think that's then too much? Would you rather have go on if Henderson and Fabinho were gone, let's just go and get one belter, and then you think we've got enough?
I personally think you get one belter and then you try and sort of maybe I wonder what they've seen in Jones with the under-21s, for example. Deeper. He's been playing deeper. He did play a bit, probably not last season, the season before. He played a bit deeper then as well. And it's a role I think it's a role he can do. I think his defensive work has come on quite a lot. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily want him as your first choice man away at Chelsea away on the first day, but as an option, I think he's fine. You've seen McAllister's done bits there for Brighton. So
it's probably weird Thiago gets in the team and you won't mind in certain games.
If you buy a belter, there's sort of options behind him that you can make it work. Whereas if you buy Lavia, it's a completely different ball game, I think.
Who's your belter, Josh? Are you throwing at me, or do you
No, listen,
dismiss the notion of a belter?
No, I like the too many links. I think if that's a goer, that's something I'll be interested in, definitely. But whether it even is a goer, I don't even know. I mean, Real Madrid aren't stupid, and why would they want to lose a player like that at the level he currently is?
We've lost loads.
Yeah.
It's the thing, if they want Mbappe,
Yeah,
if they want Mbappe, they're going to have to make a bit of money from somewhere.
Yeah,
so.
that could be a thing. And I agree with you with Caicedo as well. I think Caicedo is great.
Yeah.
He's a big player for them. But I think we need that kind of presence. I think losing Fabinho is a big thing for me. I think Henderson's a little bit different in the sense that he can play multiple different spots. Fabinho's like your fixed holding presence who literally doesn't move, stays in the centre of the pitch and just kind of extinguishes fires for you and that. So if you're going to lose that player, you need to get in another player of that ilk for me. And those kind of fixed holding players who just don't move all day and that. There's not that many of them about, like if you look across Europe and that, at least at the level we're looking at.
It's one of the reasons Chelsea paid so much for Enzo Fernandez, really, isn't it? Because there wasn't a real long list of people that we could go on. You can ask questions about what Chelsea are doing and whether they're doing it well or not, but it's still one of the reasons they had to do that.
Yeah, it's the same with Rice as well. Rice has gone for 105 million, Caicedo's going for 100 million by all accounts. So these players are really, really valuable because they don't come around very often. And I think if you don't get Rice, Tchouameni or Caicedo, there's kind of a bit of a drop. Yeah, there's a bit of a drop, I think.
Probably have to buy two.
There's a bit of a drop, I think, in terms of the next
Go with
level.
chasm. Chasm, yeah. I mean, that's another word that rhymes with the word I used. There is so many. You two are smart boys. Can either of you... Well, I'm assuming you're smart boys, but let's see if you can answer this. Can you think of another time where the teams, like, so say Fabinho goes and say Henderson goes, say they both go, and then we bring in two more, so that's 4 in, 5 out, effectively, in terms of midfielders. Are we saying? Like, is there like not even a recent example, an example of a top team doing that and like coming out the other side stronger in the short term?
I can't think of one.
I can't think of one.
Nothing comes to mind immediately, like.
If it
comes to you at midnight, text me.
Yeah,
we'll edit it in.
We'll insert it. Me saying on, me sober at home. Josh has been on.
And he said,
Fiorentina, 2006. But it's that's the thing, isn't it? And I know people are getting excited. Well, some people are getting excited about it, some people are worried about it. A little bit of both. And I think that's fairly sort of normal, really, to be on it. But
what's your big worry then? What's your big worry then?
That was shift for ages.
Okay, yeah, so it takes us a bit of time to get back to the...
and I can't really be arsed with it.
Yeah.
So we're just a bit worried that it takes a long time to sort of gel. But then we get to next summer and we've come sick and we've looked a bit better, but Mo Salah's like, I'm not doing another year in the Champions League. Virgil's like, I can't really be arsed either. And so that's the thing with rebuilds. We expect everyone's going to want to hang around for one.
The other thing with the rebuild, though, by the way, is the manager. If the manager's leaving in 3 years, that's you sort of rebuild. I think he's more for 2 to 3 years time.
I think he's more alright. I think he wants one more great team.
Yeah,
I think he's sort of a bit more game than some of the other lads are going to be.
But if you are rebuilding though, like when's the peak and when are you getting the most out of? Because then if he's rebuilding and then is he really walking away in 3 years time and going, right, that's me done, lads?
He's a generous guy though. He's a good Christian. He won't mind.
That's absolutely fair.
I mean, if he wasn't doing that, he wouldn't have bothered with like Carvalho and stuff like that.
That's absolutely true.
So I think he sounded in you, Phil. Is what I would say.
I mean, I'd like to think he is really. It'd be a bit bad if he wasn't.
But I don't know. I think that is my concern, Josh. That it just takes a little bit. It might never gel, but just. Like best case scenario is all these lads hit the ground running and they can pull it all together. But like as I say, like I haven't got loads of examples in my life where that's happening. People like continuity for a reason. Liverpool used to like it.
Yeah. Well, I think if you look at Chelsea at the minute, they're probably a decent example of a squad that's just gone over a massive overhaul out of nowhere, really. And they didn't
have a real manager though.
True, yeah, but they certainly looked second half of the season like a group of players who've never played together, and you could see that, I think. But I think Liverpool obviously got a lot of work to do there, and just picking out the right profiles in terms of replacing these mainstays that we've had for the past couple of seasons. I think it's going to be a massive challenge, and getting in the right level as well. Like Lavia is getting mentioned, obviously Lavia is 19, so I think we need a bit more established than that personally. But it's a lot to ask, like in one summer, isn't it?
In terms of Lavia then, do you think he's one that he will maybe walk away from because of sort of circumstance? Because they have looks like they've got close to others in the past and then said, oh no, sort of cooled it. So in a way it sort of feels like, you're leading them on a bit, but I guess that's the game. Like, Taran might be sat at home and going, they promised me all sorts. Like Phil Blundell in a nightclub, you know what I mean? Like whispering sweet nothings into the ear, then just wandering off at a better offer. Neil Atkinson in a taxi. There's normally how Phil goes
Not
on.
anymore, mate.
No.
No.
Just glory
Tired
days.
now.
Just glory days are gone. Neil has to get himself home.
Yeah. Sam's biggest concern in life now.
But I can't remember what I was talking about. I always do this.
I can't even remember the question yet.
The question was, do you think they've got to the point of Lavia where they feel like, we've reached the point?
Yeah.
Or do you think they'll go, well, actually, things have changed and now we need someone who's a bit more proven? Or is he still someone who you think, no, actually, they've identified him because of the skills and he could, if he could have done a job before, he could have done a job now?
Yeah, I think I still think he can come in and do a job, but I think one of the things with losing Henderson especially is he's another homegrown player. Obviously you've got Ox was homegrown, Milner was homegrown.
Phil loves all this,
There was another one as well who was the run that we've just lost. Milner, Ox, would Henderson be the third?
Phillips, Henderson.
Yeah, and that Phillips would be an option.
Yeah.
I mean, Kelleher's
Kelleher's one of the academy ones, which is almost like, at least he's not one of the academy ones, which
I
would
don't
be
really
more
understand it, Phil. You just talk to each other.
But Lavia would come in though as a player who, he's not technically homegrown yet because he's under the age where we'd have to register him anyway. But when he would get registered, he would count as homegrown.
Yeah.
So he'd be a player who'd kind of had a body and option for us,
he'd be fine,
and he'd tick that kind
He's one of the ones
homegrown
that you
thing.
can replace Henderson with, basically.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main reasons we're interested
I
in him,
agree
personally, and the
completely,
fact
I
he's just got
agree
relegated as well. I think if those two, if you ruled out the fact he's relegated and the fact he's homegrown, I don't think we'd be looking at him personally.
Like the last actual sort of first choice sort of first team homegrown player we signed was Chamberlain, which is a bit mad in terms of shaping your squad. Now we've obviously done other things in way of development, but it has left us with a bit of a, not a hole, because you can fill it quite easily, but it's sort of limited the pool of players we can buy to, and it's why it's sort of the unexpected element of this Henderson thing's not been
Yeah.
helpful.
I do know it's
think.
important, but it's a bit like, if I went to the bar now and taking a pint of neck oil and he started talking to me about barrels or something, I'd be like, mate, fuck off, I want a pint. And he's like, no, it's important because I was like, I'm sure it is, but just give us a pint. That's what I'm absolutely.
Absolutely. It's one of those things that I think, whilst I bring it up, it's over worried about by most people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In terms of the
Barrels will be fine,
like the Adrian stuff, for example.
Yeah.
Like the club are on it, don't worry about it.
Yeah, it is proper boring, I agree with you. But it's one of them things that just has to come into it to a certain
It's like when
level,
people play on fancy football and they go, well, we'll sign him. Like,
Yeah.
you can't register that squad, mate.
Yeah.
That's the only thing, really.
They just want the footballers.
That's
and
fine.
Maybe there is a little bit of that. There's the Thiago thing as well that's sort of still rumbling.
We'll get out of here and Harvey Elliott's gone, mate.
I mean, it is a bit unprecedented, isn't it?
It is mad,
We've got this new fellow in. I don't know if he loves it. I said before, it feels like a bit like Bazball. I feel like we've got this new fellow in. He's like, right, we're doing this new way. Schmadball.
Schmadball.
He's come in and went forget everything you know. There's no forward defensives. None of this.
Feels like he's found out the international dialing code to Saudi Arabia and he just fancies using it loads, like a new toy.
He's just fucking cracking on. And maybe I just need to get on board with it. Maybe Ola just needs to get on board with it and see.
We can't do anything about it, can we?
I'm going out to Singapore to do the tour and I'm a bit worried. There's lads, I'm not going to know where they are. And they're what position do you play?
Where are you from? Okay.
Oh, midfield, I'm sound, we need them. I think there's going to be a little bit of that. But I don't know, it is exciting.
It is because it's what it is. It's the next 5-10 years. And that's wow, I'm looking forward to this. You want to see something good in the next 5-10 years, don't you? Ultimately, that is what it's about. You want to win now, you want to win in 5 years, you want to win in 10 years. You don't want seasons like last season or the other season where everyone, we had no centre-backs. You don't want stuff like that. You want every season to be good. So the players coming in make you think, this will be sound. That's what I want to see. So there is the level of excitement, and I kind of see why all these sort of kids get bang into it, but at the same time, chill out a bit, lads. But
just enjoy the ride.
Exactly.
It's when you get worked up, just enjoy the ride.
Yeah, what will be, will be. We can't do anything about it.
Smackball, baby.
Smackball, yeah. Mad.
It's Phil mentioned centre-halves there, and it's interesting because we all think about, replacement like for like and stuff like that, but it might be something that helps get someone like Colwill over the line as well, Josh, because if they're looking at it thinking, we like Colwill, but he's a bit there, we can't quite afford it sort of this summer. If suddenly you're getting a Brucey Saudi bonus, you know, then it's not necessarily, you know, maybe we need to, you know, stop necessarily thinking about it. It's just like, oh, well, we need to spend that money on midfielders. If they still like Lavia and still think he can sort of do a job, but he goes, you know, now what, instead of skimping around, we can go and get Colwill. Like, that'd be alright as well. And maybe that's why they're going for it.
Yeah, well, this is the question that we've got really, isn't it? When you're saying, like, do we replace Fabinho and Henderson with, like, one belter? I think that's kind of the question Liverpool will have in terms of if we do get a bit of money for Fabinho and that, do we throw it at the centre mid or do we throw it at the centre half? Because I don't think we could get Colwill and the top centre mid to play like where Fabinho's being playing.
Probably do Colwill and
probably one or the other,
for example.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what would you favour there out of that.
I wonder whether Liverpool are waiting though just to see if any other interest peaks or any other offers come in, because they probably don't want to pay that much for a player. But from Southampton's perspective, they can hold quite firm because of the things we've spoken about on other shows, the release clause that City have, the fact that they get a percentage, I think, don't they, of any sale. So for Southampton, for it to make financial sense, they can say, well, we want this amount and we're not going to sell him for any less. The only thing I do think is the longer the window goes on and the higher the chances are that a player of such talent and potential is going to be spending a season in the Championship, does he then start to say, okay, come on, let's try and sort something out now because I want to play at the top level. I've shown that I can play at the top level. I've proven that I'm good enough.
I think Liverpool are banking on that a bit as well.
Exactly. Yeah. All these teams want me, so I'm going to have to push a little bit now. But then a lot of fans we've spoken to have said how quiet and kind of unassuming he is and whether he will push for that or just kind of let things go a bit. That's a different question. But I wonder as well, the other dynamic is whether they're kind of waiting to see what the price on Colwill will be like if he is available. Do they have the funds to buy both? Is it a bit of a balancing act? So they've got the two in now. The pressure's a little bit off. They can wait and see a little bit how the market plays out and hopefully do something a bit later in the window for one or both of those players.
If next year,
I think I'd possibly take Colwill and gamble on Lavia being the man and hoping for the best.
Yeah.
Because I think Colwill could be 15 years worth of centre back.
Yeah, I do. But the only thing is, I feel like next season in isolation, we would benefit more from a sixth and we would benefit more from Colwill.
Completely agree with you, 100%.
That's the tricky one, and it's that balance and acting.
My only real issue I've got with the way the team was going to look is if we're going with this hybrid thing and like a back three, I'm just not really having Robertson as the left-sided centre-back.
Oh, you can't sell him.
I'm not selling him. I wasn't selling him.
Even Schmapple draws the line somewhere.
It's hyperactive Scottish men. See him on those videos? He was mad, he was bang into it.
Oh, he was like he'd not spoke to anyone for a month. Like he'd just been in his,
really like the
doing
way,
his bird's head in.
I really like the way he calls Salah Mohammed.
Yeah,
like he's the only one who calls him. Everyone's like Mo, and he's like Mohammed. And it's like his long lost brother. It's a bit weird because we don't really have situations where we don't see work colleagues for like 2 months, do we?
Yeah.
So it is a bit weird, and they're sort of far more intensely with them than we are.
And then not.
It must be really weird.
It's a mad life.
Yeah. It's kind of like Glastonbury on a large scale, like you with your mates for 6 days. And then you're not. You're at home on your own and you're like, heavy this.
Yeah. So no wonder. Right, okay. Gambling. Okay. Gambling game, Phil. You like gambling. Henderson, Fabinho, both one or the other, neither leaving by first game next Wednesday.
I think
I just kept talking.
I feel like if they go, they're gone by then.
Yeah.
I don't think this is dragging on.
No.
Mainly because I think the Saudi Arabians will be like, right, well, on to the next one. Like there was talk of the Gerrard thing. We were going, we've got Danny Parejo lined up as an alternative, and that's like,
that was my brother.
That's not.
Do you think he knew?
Yeah.
He was like, the fucking first I've heard.
Hang on. He's on the phone to Henderson going, don't you dare, I want that money. But yeah, I think it's either done quickly or.
Would you do it then? Go for them.
I think I'm throwing the dice now. Because once it's been put in the head, you're sort of thinking, are they? Because these things happen sort of because they've given some kind of signal. I don't think it's just them going, what about him? We'll offer him. There's agents and intermediaries doing things. So I think they both probably want to go. And I'm not really into having footballers here who don't want to be here. So roll the dice, see what we get. Sign Eze from Crystal Palace, that's my game now. That's what I'm into.
To Eze position. Oh no, go back to the first question. Fabinho, Henderson, both neither.
I think they're both going.
Do you?
Yeah, and I would do it as well. But the big thing with it though, it depends on the replacement.
Yeah,
Man.
exactly,
We need to get a good replacement in, mate. Honestly, that's huge. That like.
Yeah.
And
If
if you could show me the replacement now, it's going to be him.
Yeah,
I would then make
exactly.
that's
You can't though, can you?
Exactly, that's a big deal. But Jürgen would know that, wouldn't he? Hopefully.
Hopefully. I mean,
he'll have something.
They'll have something up to say.
Yeah. But it's massive, isn't it? It's proper massive.
There was one of the things that was like, he's just given the green light to Henderson. I think it was Romano, and it's like, well, he's given the green light that without any sort of fight. It means he's like, well, fine, sound. And if his reaction is ultimately to be fine, sound, I don't really see why ours should be any different.
See? Same. It's my point.